We live on the Naptown. We live on my feet. We live. Let's clap it up. We are live. Shalom, Israel. You know what time it is, man. It's the Isupk 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana, man. And our mission is to teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians who they are according to the Bible, and that the oppressor is the goddamn devil the Bible speaks of, man.
Right.
You understand? And we just got through having the Feast of Dedication, but before we was on the Feast of Dedication, we was already going into the story of the Maccabees. This is something that we do all the time here in this school, especially on Mondays. We go into the history. You know, Mondays is usually the designated history classes, so I do the Monday classes. So I love going into the war histories. You know, what better history than to hear about the wars? And the reason I do that is for this reason alone. Because when I was growing up in the Christian church, I never knew about the wars in the Bible. You understand? That was just something that was totally left out of the Bible. Like they never gave you that warrior spirit in the Christian church. It was too busy getting you to wear purple and sing and dance and try to turn you effeminate. So one thing that I want everybody to understand when they come into this school is that we are a nation of warriors, man. We descend from a nation of warriors, man. Like the scriptures say, the Lord is a man of war. So all this, God loves everybody and kisses and trying to become friends with the people that's killing you and murdering you and raping you. That is, to understand, that is for lesser men and that is for weak men and women. And one thing that we can no longer be. You understand? So that's why we need stories like the Maccabees. That's why we need stories like King David. That's why we need stories like Samson. That's why we need stories like Moses to understand that, listen, we descend from a warrior race, man. The greatest race on the face of this planet. The Lord has chosen. That's all I want to say about that, man. Anybody else got anything?
Hello.
All right, let's get into it then. Maccabees it is. Bungad, let them know where we at.
Come on.
We have Maccabees 1 and 52. I left my dango. What's the name?
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 52. Then many of the people gathered unto them, to wit, and so they committed evils in the land. 53. And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for secure.
Right. And this is another thing, man, that we forget about our history. Like, we had to run from being slaughtered by the Greeks. You understand? That's how we ended up into the west coast of Africa. Not because we're actual Africans and that's where we descend from, because we were fleeing and we ran to Africa. Why? Just like you can't tell a white Russian from a white American because they're both white, we fled to Africa because they were dark-skinned like us, not because they were us. Because if you ask a white Russian and a white American, are they the same people? They're going to be offended. They're going to let you know, no, I'm Russian, no, I'm American. We might look the same, but we are not the same, right? Well, guess what? If that rule applies to the oppressor, no matter where he's from, why wouldn't it apply to blacks, no matter where the hell we from? Don't that make sense? It's the same difference between lions and tigers. You see a lion and you see a tiger, you know they both big cats, but you know they're not the same species. Right. You see two black men, one's from Africa, one's from the hood. Hey, listen, we both black men, but we different species. Look at it like that. We are not the same. So what Bongad was just bringing out in that scripture, how we had to flee, they was chasing us. They was trying to kill us. Why? Because we were still serving the Lord of the Bible. They didn't want us to serve the Lord of the Bible. They wanted us to serve the Lord of, white Jesus. What other way to say it? Let's get some more.
Come on, 54. Abomination and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
Damn, that is so wicked right there. That is the oppressor, if I've ever heard of it. And I'm not sure if y'all heard that because I know this internet's in and out, but did y'all hear the scripture Bungad just read? If you would, Bungad, would you take it from the top?
Come. Verse 54. Now the 15th day of the month, Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
Now, what does that sound like today? Damn right. That's exactly what that is. That is the Christian church today. You understand? When you go, no matter where you go, any black, Hispanic, or indigenous neighborhood, no matter how tore up that neighborhood is, guess what you're going to see standing there nice and glorious? You're going to see a Christian church. It's going to be there. And guess what they're going to be doing in that Christian church? They're going to be allowing all type of paganism running free in that Christian church. You're going to see homosexuality. That is a pagan god that you're serving when you're doing homosexuality. You're going to be seeing them eating pork. That is following another pagan gods. They letting all that paganism run free and rampant in the Christian church. That scripture reminds me of the Christian church. That's a manifold scripture right there, because that's exactly what's transpiring. And who was setting up these churches? Just like they were setting up them fake pagan altars back then. It was the Greeks. Well, who are the Greeks now?
Right.
That's how you match it up. Who are the Greeks now? Them Greeks didn't go anywhere. They just stopped calling themselves Greeks and called themselves American. And told you, you know what I'm saying? And told you what this was, or a carbon copy. You understand? They show you in everything they do. When you look at the back of a dollar bill, you see you see a pyramid and you see an eagle. What does the pyramid represent? What culture does the pyramid represent?
That's Egypt.
Right. What does the eagle represent?
That's America.
Right. But give me the other answer I'm looking for. Who used the eagle as a sign of power before America?
I would say every empire that so-called white man runs.
Exactly. The Greeks and the Romans. When the Greeks and the Romans used to go on the war, they used to carry that eagle, a golden eagle, and they would plant it in the middle of the ground. Listen, they would burn your city to the ground if you stole that eagle. Mm-hmm. They would burn your city. They would come, rape, and murder your mother, your father. They didn't listen. You giving that gold eagle back? They make movies about it, how important that damn gold eagle was to them.
Right.
When you go into the courthouse, that's all you see on top of the American flags is that gold eagle. You understand? Get some more.
Verse 55. And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. 56. Mm-hmm. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law.
The books of who?
The books of the law.
What did they do to the books of the law?
They had rent in pieces.
They tore up the books of the law. We know why they did that. We know why they did that. And you know how they do it nowadays, how they tear up the books of the law? Now, here's what they do. They make new ones. They make the NIVs. You understand? Like, why do I need to make 1,000 different math books if the one that I got is perfectly fine? You understand? Like we know this because we've all asked our parents for help with homework at one point in time in their life. And our parents be like, I don't know how to do that crap. The way that you're doing math now is different from the way we do math. But you're all trying to get the same damn answer, right? And then and their parents used to ask you when they looked at your homework, why are they teaching you math like that? That's stupid. This is the simplest way to do this. This is how you get 1 + 1. They want you to say, they give you, it'll be a question mark, then it'll be a letter, then it'll be another question mark and a letter, and then it'd be like an answer is 2. And you know, and then they have you want, they be like, and you got to work in multiplication and algebra at the same time. You get what I'm saying? In order to get the 2 answer. Where it used to be like, well, here's how you get 2. 1 plus 1, right? Simple. The reason they're doing that is to cause confusion. It's not really teaching you nothing. All that algebra, I'd have been in some of the most advanced math classes that you could think of. Believe it or not, I used to be a halfway smart kid. I had to be good at math because I sucked at reading. You understand? So you can't be bad at both. You can't be bad at reading and math. So I actually excelled at math. So I was in algebra class way before my head of my doing high school algebra in 6th grade. But all that Isupk times and all that crap that they told me, all the calculus that they showed me, I have yet to use that in my regular life.
Right.
But I still do a lot of adding and subtracting, the simple stuff. But all that other stuff that they showed me, I haven't used it yet. It don't matter what I'm doing. I work with my hands for a living. I build stuff for a living. You understand? I can build a house, and I'm still not using Isupk times when I build a house. I'm not using pi to the 5th dimension or to the 10th power. I'm not doing none of that. I'm simply adding and subtracting. You give me, I'm simply adding and subtracting. This is a 8-foot 2x4. I'm only going to need 4 feet of this. That's adding and subtracting. You get what I'm saying? So they making all these new books when we don't need them. They do the exact same thing with the Bible, with the NIVs and all that other crap. We don't need that stuff. And here's what they do now. They got the new Bibles now where the oppressor gives you the breakdown. What did you say the other day? It's talking about black. It's like because he was dirty.
Oh, you kind of.
They give you the breakdowns in the Bible now. They don't allow you to think for yourself anymore. In nothing. Not in school, not in life. They think for you. That's what and here's how they do that. Read that scripture again.
Okay. Verse 56. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire.
Listen, this is what they do nowadays. This is what they try to do to us. Now you can't follow the right way. Now you can't think for yourself because we've destroyed everything that makes you who you are. You get what I'm saying? They rented the books in pieces, and now you don't have any common sense. Now we're going to think for you. The machine is going to think for you. Another example of that, I use the school system. It's the child left behind. Like when they take away the same thing that makes you who you are, you understand? Like that's what makes you want to fight and strive because you didn't want to get left behind. Now by doing this, now we get rid of the books of the law, so now you're not a sinner no more. This is how the Christian church thinks. This is how they operate. We've heard the Christian pastor say it. I forget his name, but he said the devil ain't trying to get you to sin. The devil is trying to get you to keep the law. Because if you keep the law, then you sin. But if you don't keep the law, then you don't sin. Like, what is you saying? That don't make no damn sense. That's him trying to destroy the laws. And we already know what Christ said. He said he didn't come to destroy the laws. He came to fulfill them. You understand? He come not to destroy the priests and prophets or the laws. But once more, this is the work of the oppressor. We know who the devil is, and we know what he's come to do. Let's get some more scriptures.
It's like if I could before we move on.
Go ahead, preach.
Like, this is such a heavy scripture because this is exactly what our oppressor did when he first invaded these lands.
Right.
Understand? He took any scroll, book, tablet with inscriptions on it, and he would break it to pieces or burn the scrolls and books that he'd find that had, indigenous and Hispanic religious writings on them and practices. And, like our oppressor knows best that if you get rid of a people's language and you prohibit them from following their customs and being able to keep records of their customs so they can pass it down, like our oppressor knows that it's far easier to control a people and to get for them to leave their heritage behind.
Right.
And you can go ask any indigenous tribe in America and they'll tell you that exact same thing. That's why it is that tribes are struggling to teach the youth, their indigenous language. You understand? And why it is it that so many indigenous languages are dying languages? which
Yeah,
is all really just, a bastardization of Hebrew, much like what the Jewish man speaks, which is Yiddish.
Damn right. Damn right. And if I could, I have a question. Why is the first thing you burn is the library? Why would that be the first thing you burn? Like, we've all heard the stories about Alexander the Greek, how every time he conquered a new land, the first thing he would do was burn the records and burn the libraries. Why would you do that? We also know that when we see the Roman Empire started to fall, the first thing that they tried to do was collect all their scrolls and all their history and run off with it. They had boats filled with writings. That's why they still find the so-called scrolls in the ocean, saved in them little air sealed tight jars. You understand? Why is that the first thing that you try to destroy or the first thing that you try to save? Does anybody know? No sweat. The reason why, go ahead, priest.
Come. If you destroy the library, then the conqueror can't go inside the library and read nothing.
Right. Right. If you destroy the library, like prime example, Baghdad, he has a library, right? I want to enslave his people. If I destroy his library, then I control the narrative when I'm teaching his people their history. You get what I'm saying? Hear what I just said. When I'm teaching his people their history, I destroyed the library. I control the narrative. Because just think about what I just said there. When I'm teaching his people their history, we, and when I say we, I mean blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous, we are the only people on planet Earth to learn our history from the same people that conquered us.
Right.
We are the only people. No German is teaching the so-called Jewish man about Jewish history.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. No American is teaching the Japanese about Pearl Harbor and Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Teaching them how to be samurai.
Yeah, teaching them how to be samurais. You get what I'm saying?
I say it's like no British man is teaching an East Indian how to charm snakes and
Right.
worship gods with multiple arms.
Right. Nobody else learns their history or their culture from the people that they went to war with. For some odd reason, we got conquered and we learned our history. We learned the Bible from the same people that burnt it up, like we just read about. They tore up the scriptures. They tried to hide it. Go ahead, priest.
And if I could, what you bringing out is so heavy, because that's further proof of how you know that we are all one big family. Because when you look at the indigenous people of this land, our oppressor is not going to tell them how great they was living before slavery. They're not going to tell the so-called Hispanics, what their customs was before slavery. Growing up in school, all I've ever known as far as history before I found the truth was I was just another nigga, that came from slavery.
Right.
History started at 1419.
Right. History started in slavery. History started with a whip on your back. And you was a savage, just like the indigenous. Now we're all savages until the good old nice white man came and gave us civilization. And one thing you didn't learn about was how he stole America. You didn't learn that. You didn't learn that. He founded America off of good business sense and the Lord being with him, apparently. Right? Let's get some more on that scripture. Now we know what happened to our records. Now we know why we had to fight and strive so much as we did, man. Because they tried to burn the laws, man. This is how you turn the people into Christianity. Because and we ask this question all the time, and if you ask a person in the world, just watch their response. What were we before we were Christians? That's the $1 million question. What were we before we were Christians? You understand? What religion did we follow before we became Christians? The answer will shock them. I know it shocked me when I found out that we weren't in a religion, we were a nation, because I never knew the difference between religion and nation.
Right.
When I was in the world, I didn't know the difference.
Right.
I didn't know the difference. I knew the difference between the other nations, but me, I wasn't a nation. I was a religious. I was I was in a category of religion. I wasn't, the nation of nothing. I was just a nigga. The nation of niggas who don't know where they come from. And now we understand why. They burnt them laws to get us to convert, to get us to conform. Let's get some more.
Okay. 57. And whosoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any committed to the law.
You know where this is going. For you even finish that, you know what was about to happen.
Right.
Keep going.
The king's commandment was that they should be that they should put him to death.
Listen, let me tell you something. Let them try that now. Let them try that now. It's a movie out. It's two movies out. One of them is called Equilibrium. I don't know if you've ever seen that. And the other one is called something with Michael B. Jordan, where they taking all the books and pictures and stuff and burning them. The people ain't allowed to read and stuff like that. And we look at the movies and we laugh at them like, why would they be burning up all the books? Why are they burning up all the paintings? Why are they doing this stuff? But here's the funny part. The white man is such a devil, man. So lucky, the oppressor is such a devil. The reason he makes movies like that is because he knows this Bible. He's like, that's what we did in the past. That's exactly what we did. We took all the books, we took all the pictures, we burnt them. Anybody found one, we put them to death. If you ever seen Equilibrium, you get caught with a book, they blowing your head off. Mm-hmm. It's something Fahrenheit 571 or something with Michael B. Jordan. I can't remember the movie, man. I can't remember the name of it, but they was
Fahrenheit something.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because it's a book too.
Yeah. They was burning. You get caught reading, they putting you to death. You getting put the pressure. Like, where the hell did he get this idea from this movie from? This movie crazy. It's the oppressor telling on himself about how he used to put us to death for reading books. That's why in all the movies, the main character is always somebody black in there. Like in Equilibrium, it was Tate Higgs. Like in the Fahrenheit, it was Michael B. Jordan. We look at that movie like, man, the oppressor putting people to death for reading this movie crazy. Even the oppressor wouldn't do that. He's a goddamn liar. He done it. He's telling you his history. He read these scriptures like, man, we was putting them to death for reading the Bible. Being caught with a picture of the black priests and prophets.
Right.
Like the scriptures say, they changed the faces of the judges thereof. That's why them scriptures are so manifold. Like the scriptures say, the scriptures changes of the judges thereof. You understand? You change the face. Let's get some more scriptures.
Come. Verse 58. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. 59. Now the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God.
And that's the 25th day of every month. That sounds like that new moon crap. Mm-hmm. That's what that sounds like to me. Trying to even it up with the new moon on every month. They want to sacrifice onto the pagan gods. Like these fake groups say the Sabbath service begins every new moon, which would make Sabbath once a month. So lucky. Let's get some more.
60. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
And here's the crazy part about that, man. Like, they were trying to stop all remembrance of who you are as a Black, Hispanic, and Native, Salakian indigenous. They didn't want you to remember nothing. Now, we all know what circumcision is, right? Why would they put somebody to death for circumcising their kids? Let's just think about it. Why would they put somebody to death for that? Because it seems like a harmless act, right? It don't seem like something that's that big of a deal. But they were putting women to death because it wouldn't affect that they were circumcising their kids. They wanted to get the memory. They were trying to do away with the customs. Because if you keep your customs, you keep your traditions. Customs is traditions. Traditions come with history of who you are, where you come from, what you represent, what you're about. And if you're keeping the customs, you're keeping your traditions. If you're keeping your traditions, you're keeping what else? Your laws, which they will not allow. That's why they were putting them to death. Let's get some more.
Come.
Because circumcision is a law in Israel. The oppressor knew it. You understand? Like, you couldn't even imagine not being circumcised in today's world. You'd be like, yeah, that's gross. I'm pretty sure people who ain't circumcised think it's gross.
Right.
This is gross. I don't even want to go to the restroom. That's probably what they say. So, Slovakia, it's gross. We have a law of cleanliness, man. We cannot be walking around with the turtle on the shell. It don't work like that, man.
Anteater.
Yeah, the anteater. Let's get some more of the scriptures.
61. And they hanged the infants about their necks
Damn it.
and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them.
Don't ever tell me that the oppressor ain't the goddamn devil about this. Don't ever tell me that, man. This is a cut for anybody that ever tries to defend the oppressor and wants them to come into the kingdom with you. You understand? Like this scripture right here, when you stand important. That's this every week. I know what I do. Once I started understanding these scriptures and reading these scriptures, I knew I had a new lease on life. Because without these scriptures right here, I would be hand in hand with the same people that did this to our forefathers or foremothers. You understand? And wouldn't have no malice towards them at all, but have malice to everybody that looked like me. Light skin, dark skin, it didn't matter. If he was a nick, I had a problem with you. But in my mind, I loved you. I didn't love Jake's. I didn't love Jake's at all, man. I hated my people. Why did I hate my people? Because I was a Christian. Christians hate each other. That Christian church is so full of wickedness, and they'll tell you to forgive and act like this. But you do the slightest thing to offend them in there that ain't have to do with you hanging babies from the mother's necks.
Right.
You understand? You ain't done nothing that heinous, but they'll hate you until the day that you die. But the people that hung babies from our necks, they forgive them and tell you that your God loves them.
Right.
God loves everybody. That's your brother. Forgive your brother. And they talk about Esau. Esau's your brother. Was not Jacob and Esau brothers? And the Bible says, forgive your brother. 77 times 7. Do the math on that. Look at him. You know what I'm saying? Look at people, man. Oh, I don't ever fall for this black man. This they back. It's blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous for nothing more than following our beliefs. Following our beliefs. Like this is what we're reading now is how they want to do you now for not supporting homosexuality. You understand? You want you have a son, and you tell your son that he's a son, they want to come and put that baby to death. And they mind you to corrupted that baby. They tell you that let the baby decide what he wants to be. Who the hell says stuff like that? I was, man, I was reading an article. Some, I don't know who gave to teach anything You get what I'm saying? She's talking about when you have a toddler, right? You have to ask for permission to stay pampered. Who says that, man? I was thinking in my head when I read that, man. I had a Boondocks moment with the white teacher. He's like, when he said it, I didn't even think about. She said the word. My inner voices got to talking. I said, ask the child to change the pamper. I said, man, that child better ask me to eat some food, to go to sleep up under my roof. If this child got options like that, this child need to be working. How about that? How about that child go get a goddamn job and pay some of these damn bills around here? How about that? A child asked the child to change the pamper. Yeah, what if the child say no? Then what? Then so he's just gonna sit in his own feces for days until you decide get a what they call it, a diaper rash and all that. Baby dying from feces and stuff. Baby like, yeah, I think I'll have you change it now.
Right.
You can't even the pamper and mold it to them. You get what I'm saying? These devils is the worst, man. This is what happens when the wicked is in rulership, man. Now they tell you that you got to ask your kid for permission. That don't even make sense, man. That don't even make sense. And listen, you know it don't make sense because we grew up in black households. Ask permission to change a pamper. Listen, man, listen. For us to make it out of our households, man, to be alive, we did good. We did good to be alive. How many of our parents threatened to kill us on a regular? I brought you in, I'll take you out. Talking about some options. You didn't have no options. You can only be a child and do what you was told. Go ahead, priest.
And if I could, this is why our oppressor has to be destroyed. This is why our oppressor has to be wiped off the planet. Because whenever I think of this,
is there any way that you can get any louder, priest?
sir, is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
So like y'all was saying, this is why our oppressor has to be wiped off the face of the earth. Because whenever I think of this, I think about how the scriptures say that they had the babies hanging from the neck.
Right.
I immediately, my mind immediately think of what our oppressors did to our indigenous brothers and sisters with the Trail of Tears.
Right.
What our oppressors did to our babies down south in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina area, feeding our babies to alligators. Like, this is a diabolical beast that has to be destroyed for the crimes that they committed against us. And anybody that don't want justice are just another sellout Uncle Tom.
Right. You're absolutely right, buddy, man. And this is something else. What you touched on is a heavy point, man. And I don't even know if you understand how heavy it was because, like you said, we are reading the crimes that these people have committed. But for some odd reason, when it comes to blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous men and women, somehow we hold the title of violent people.
Right.
We hold the title of a violent people. When nobody on the face of this planet has been more violent and more wicked than the oppressor. And then they want to take away the ability for you to raise your child because even though she was a oppressor, a lesbian oppressor, that comment wasn't for her people. That comment was for our people.
Right.
For us. Here's how you should be raising your child, black people, indigenous people, Hispanic people. This is how you should be raising them. That's what the comment was for. Because we know that all this wickedness is pushed towards who? Pushed towards us. You understand? Right. So, and here's the thing. When you know they don't raise their kids like that. You get what I'm saying? Well, let me rephrase that. They don't raise their kids the way that we was raised. Why? Because little Timmy will shoot up the goddamn school.
Right.
Little Timmy gonna shoot up the school. You piss little Timmy off. You bully little Timmy one time, and it's woe is me. Next thing you know, he's in all black. He turned into the emo kid, and little Timmy coming in with the AR. As Kyle Rittenhouse.
Right.
Kyle Rittenhouse went to another state with an AR. Kyle Rittenhouse ain't old enough to buy an AR. Why does he own one? Who bought it for him? Why ain't they in jail for buying him a gun? Let me let me go find a little kid and buy him a goddamn gun right now. I'm going to jail. And well, the AR was in your name. You didn't report it stolen. You gave him access to it.
It's like if he put it together himself, he could do that.
Yeah.
I was saying that's on, like, because recently Mexico has had problems with like gun distribution companies like Glock, Smith and Wesson, well-known distributors of weapons. Like, they've had a problem with them allowing for guns to come over the border and be incorporated into the cities and into the communities, driving up the gun violence.
Right.
So it's really on these different corporations that are ran by these devils. Like, they got to put laws and different stipulations
right
intact in order for devils not to be able to just go out, buy gun parts, build their own weapons, and then have a unregistered gun just floating out there
right
for them to murder two people with, and to maim another one.
Two people were supporting Black lives.
Mm-hmm.
You understand, which is funny. And not to jump off subject, but what you're breaking out is a heavy point, because I came across another news feed where they were talking about that house. The gun laws are so lackadaisical that shows you that the oppressor is such a beast, because that's another reason that the oppressors marched on the White House, because they were talking about changing gun laws and doing all this. One thing they kept saying is that you're taking our country from us. Now, let's talk real quick, touch base on that. Now, when you talk about their country and their rights, right, and the first thing in the Constitution is what? Freedom of speech, right? Anybody know what the second thing is? Go ahead, hold on. Go ahead, Shinya.
Right to bear arms.
What was you gonna say? Look on. Officer, look on.
I was going to say, is it freedom of religion?
Nope. Shinya had it right. So the first one is freedom of speech. The second one is the right to bear arms. My question is this: why do you think that's the second one?
No, actually, stand your ground. I know that's one of the laws. I guess that's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I guess that would be one of the reasons why they enforced that, is because like you said, this the right to bear arms is like the second Constitution.
Right. Yeah. So that's just a law. But the Constitution, right? The first one is freedom of speech. The second one is the right to bear arms. Just think about what we're reading in the Maccabees. They're running around saying what they want to say, right? Doing what they want to do. Now, if you want to say what you want to say and do what you want to do, you should probably have some type of weapon on you. Because you're going to come across the wrong people like they did in the Maccabees. And you came across Judas Maccabee and got put to death. Because, listen, you can say what you want to say. That's true. You can say what you want to say. But just think from an oppressor's perspective. Like, they learned from the Bible. You understand? They learned. When we was going around telling them this and doing that, we came across some big, black, strong, flat-out warriors, because we descend from a warrior race. We are the Lord's chosen. The Lord is a man of war. And if the Lord is a man of war, what the hell you think he's going to make you? A man of peace? How is the Lord a man of war, but you a man of peace, my guy?
Right.
You come up here with the peace sign, holding little baby lambs. Nah, that ain't what the Lord did. The Lord is a man of war, and he created man of war. That's what you are, black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, Salaki indigenous man. You are a man of war. The oppressor knows this, but the oppressor also wants to say what he wants to say. So in his mind, if I'm going to be talking all this stuff, I should probably have some type of gun to defend myself once I offend this big black guy right here who's probably going to beat me to death. You understand? The oppressor, you think everything he does is calculated. Just like we reading what he's doing in these scriptures, he's calculated. He's very meticulous with it. You understand? He's about fear tactics. Them constitutions, fear tactics. Him hitting the babies from the sister's necks, that's fear tactics. So when the next sister see it, she's afraid. She's afraid. Like, I can't do that. My baby just gonna have a dirty ride because he ain't about to kill us. Just like with slavery. Let's get some more in the scriptures. So lucky, I done got way off subject.
Okay.
Anybody got anything to bring out? You're more than welcome to bring it out.
62. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
Right.
63. Wherefore the rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. 64.
And that's so hardcore because here's the thing. You worried about dying by the hands of man. But when you break the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord, guess what? You as good as dead anyway. So my thing is this. Who would you rather die by? The hands of some devil or the hands of the Lord? Because the Lord is going to kill. Listen, the Lord is going to make it bad for you, man. The Lord is going to make it bad for you. You understand? So me personally, if I got to choose between dying by the hands of the oppressor or by the hands of the Lord, I'm going to choose the oppressor every time. Because what he thinks he's going to do is nothing compared to what the Lord is going to do.
Damn right.
The Lord is going to put you to death, bring you back, put you to death again, bring you back, put you to death some more. The oppressor can only kill you once. The Lord is going to kill you again and again and again. It's going to be like playing Mario Brothers. Remember when you used to play Mario Brothers? You would die at the same spot every time. That's what it's going to be like. You play with the Lord. You go boop, 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 every time at the same spot in your life. That's how the Lord can do you. You understand? Right when you think that oh man, I finally made it to where I wanted to be in life. This is it. I got all the money I want. I got the nice house. I got the nice car. Lord will strip it all for. Ask Job what happened. And Job was perfect. Job wouldn't have folded. He had every opportunity to fold and every reason to fold according to a Christian. You understand? Once all this bad stuff start happening to you, Christians lose their faith in the Lord. God ain't real. I've served God my whole life. Why would he take my wife from me? Why would he do this? Why would he do that? God ain't real. He make movies about that too. That presser dude. You understand? That's what he does, man. Let me tell you something, man. You have an unwavering resolve. Be ready to die at the drop of a dime in this life, man. What the scriptures say, this place is not your rest. Babylon is not your rest. Give a damn about this life and what goes on in this place, man. Our glory is with the Lord. Let's get some more in the scriptures.
Come. Verse 63. Wherefore shows rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats. So then they died.
Keep going.
Verse 64. And there was a very great wrath upon Israel. Chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arise I'm going to pronounce it.
Where you at?
Chapter 2, verse 1.
Mattathias.
Matthias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorid.
Yeah, he was a hardcore dude.
From Jerusalem, that indwelt in Merdin. Verse 2.
Keep going.
And he had 5 sons.
Mm-hmm.
Jonan, called.
Just keep going.
Caddis. Verse 3, Simeon called the Thassus. Verse 4, Judas, who was called
Maccabees.
Maccabees. Verse 5,
Eleazar.
Eleazar called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Apos.
Apis.
Verse 6, and when he was
When he saw
and when he saw the blasphemy that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem.
Right.
Verse 7, he said, woe is me.
He said, what?
Woe is me.
He seen the sin being considered in the city and said, man, I'm destroyed. Woe is me. Like, man, I can't believe this. You understand? He didn't say, man, hey, man, them niggas is crazy. Look at them. That's what we do now in today's world. We see somebody messed up, we laugh at them. Look at that, man, they crazy. My God, they crazy, man. Look what they doing. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. Because we disassociate ourselves from our brothers and sisters.
Right.
That's what we do. We disassociate ourselves. He seen them sinning and said, woe, it's me. He said, man, them sinning, he said, I'm destroyed. Understand? Man, I'm going to pay for this. Can you imagine UPK? One thing a Christian will never understand is Christian mind. He's like, I'm doing all the things right. I just understand why all this bad luck keep happening to me. You looking at yourself as an individual. But the Lord don't look at you as an individual. The Lord looks at you as a nation. What are you doing to raise your nation up? You understand? We are judged as a nation. We are not judged on the individual status. You ever commit a crime with somebody? Matter of fact, I'll make it even simpler. You ever seen First 48? Everybody has seen First 48, right?
I don't watch it like that.
Huh?
I don't watch it like that.
You don't watch it? Well, you know about it, though.
Yeah.
So First 48, it'd be 5 brothers on there, right? 5 young black men on there. They'll go commit a crime, right? One of them be the getaway driver. One of them be the lookout. Only one person do the shooting. How many people get punished? Go ahead, Shinya. All of them.
Right.
But why did the one that was just this lookout, why did he get punished? He didn't do the killing. Why did he get punished? We don't question it then. We see the oppressor take judgment upon 5 people. One person did the killing. The others was just standing there. They was just standing there. They didn't try to stop him. They didn't help him. They was just standing there. You understand? I was with him. I didn't know what he was going to do. I knew what he said we was going to do. We was going to do one sin and end up committing multiple sins. But listen, we were going to do a robbery. We weren't going to do a murder. He never told me he gonna kill the dude. I didn't even know he had it. Blah, 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 blah. That's what the oppressor hears, right? The oppressor just hears blah, 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 blah. I didn't even have the gun. When you say that, the oppressor hears blah, blah, blah. What do you think the Most High hear? That's a Christian right there. First 48 is a Christian. That's a TV show full of Christians. You understand? But that's how the Lord judges us, the same way the oppressor does us on that show. As a nation. Now, that was all together, y'all got to suffer. That's how the Lord says it. That's how the Lord does it. The Lord's like, all y'all together, all y'all got to suffer. We don't get judged on an individual basis. The oppressor, when prophets, he said, rapist. When he got to talk, and all of them, said all. You said all of them. You said all of them was rapists and murderers. Oh, you said you didn't say it was some. You said all. But then when it came to his people, he said it was just some. Understand, when an oppressor is judging you, he judges you as a nation. I wonder where he learned that from. You understand? Because he knows more about our history than we do. Why? Because he kept some of the books. He didn't burn them all. He burned the ones that you had access to. That's what he did. He grabbed the books out of your house, out of our houses, and burnt them up. But then he kept the good ones, like the books about warfare and the weapons of war. He kept all them.
Right.
He said, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna take credit for this. They talk about Alexander the Greek, how he conquered most of the world. I wonder who weapons he were mimicking in order to do that. I wonder who war strategies he was mimicking in order to do that. The problem with us is this, man. We could be the best fighting force on the face of this planet. Number one, the Lord is with us. Number two, we have the best weapons. But why do we always lose? Because somewhere down the line, a Christian pastor infiltrates and says, we should go ahead and join the Greeks. Let's do some business with them.
Right.
And that's the problem with us. We don't know how to adapt. We only know how to integrate.
Right.
We are some integrating people. Nobody else integrates. Everybody else adapts. These Chinese come over here, they adapt. The Muslims come over here, they adapt. The Africans come over here, they adapt. We come over here, we integrate. Now we're Americans. Now we gotta listen. We gotta in America. We got our hand over our heart, singing at the national anthem, looking at Beyonce. Beyonce sung the best national anthem ever. Who gives a damn?
Right.
Who gives a damn? What has Beyonce done for Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous people? She put her money in with Oprah and go open up schools over in Africa for African girls who's been molested. You know why they did that? Because apparently there's no Black, Hispanic, or Indigenous girls over here in America who has been molested.
Right.
We don't have them issues. Even though we're reading about how they destroyed us in the Maccabees, we don't have them issues here.
Right.
These people is the most wicked, man. And that comes from a love of the oppressor. That comes from a love of the same people that was destroying us in the Maccabees, man. But we about to get into some glorious stories, man. We about to get into how Matthias came and laid it down with his sons, man. Let's get this, yeah. Let's get some more of the scriptures. Now we get to the gory and bloodshed part, man. Like watching a good movie. You put up with all the bull crap scenes until you get to the blood scenes, and you in that thing like, yeah,
Right.
this is what I've been waiting on. Dang, you see how he beheaded him? Rewind that. Like we love a good war movie. Scriptures I just pictured in my head like a good movie. Let's get it, Shia.
Come. Verse 7. He said, woe is me.
Right.
Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people?
He said, was I born to see the misery of my people? Man, you see how hardcore these cats talk in these scriptures? Man, that is so hardcore to me, man. Like, dang, that's so hardcore. Like, he loved his people so much. Like, that is love, man. And I didn't know what that was until I came into this school. I didn't know what love was until I came into this school. I only knew hate. I only knew hate because I would look at somebody else suffering and didn't feel sorry. I see Black people begging for change. I didn't feel sorry for them. I talked to them like that pressure did. Get a job.
Right.
Like, that was me. I didn't have no mercy, man. I didn't. You need change? I need change. That was me. Destroyed. I didn't have what this brother had. Read that again.
Verse 7. He said, woe is me. Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people?
He said, destroyed in mine. Was I born just to see the misery of my people? And here's the killer part. Subconsciously, we've all felt like that in our minds growing up in the ghettos. I know I did. I used to ask myself that all the time. I used to be like, man, why was I even born? Was I born to suffer this messed up life that I'm living? Was I born to see my family addicted to crack? Was I born to see my people out here dying in front of me, like right in front of my eyes, man? Like, when you live the street life, you understand that you got to get away out of it, man. You got to get away. Like, I was one of them people, before I came into this truth, And here's what I explain to people. Before I came into this truth, I wanted to get out the hood. Not because I didn't care about living in the hood, because to me that was the goal. The goal was to make it out of the hood. Because in my mind, I couldn't make it better. That's why I wanted to leave. Because I didn't have a way to fix it. I didn't have the answers. Now that I have the answers, now that I have a way to fix it, I don't want to leave the hood. The UPK gave me them answers. It changed my mindset. But I didn't want to leave the hood because I hated my people. I wanted to leave the hood because I felt like I couldn't do nothing about it. And the safest thing for me was to get away, not understanding who my real enemy is and why the hood is the way it is. Like, man, when you grow up in the hood, you don't glorify like these punk rappers that don't know nothing about the hood, that don't know nothing about the suffering of their people. Like, you didn't heard him. You didn't heard Lil Wayne tell you about his life. He said he ain't black, he's rich and black. There's a difference to him. He talk about all this gangster stuff, but I tell you one thing, Lil Wayne ain't never seen nobody get murdered in front of him. I've seen it. I've seen a brother get shot down in front of my house. In front of my house. We were staying on 23rd and Kenwood. I can never forget it. You understand? I was outside on the porch at the time when they got the shooting. You understand? The dude took about 5 steps and dropped directly in front of our house, in front of my mom's car. To where my mom, she knew I was on the porch. She came out to make sure I wasn't shot. And she seen the brother dead. And, and I'm just in shock. So she, snapped me out of it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gathered around looking at the dead body and she freaked out. She's like, no, we're not about to do that. She told me, go in the house and get a sheet. And we covered the brother up until the paramedics came. You understand? She covered up his body, which I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. Because that's a way of showing that brother respect and honor, even though that brother's dead. And how many times have we seen it now? Michael Brown was one of them. When that goddamn devil blew his brains out, that damn devil cop blew his brains out and left his body uncovered for 7-8 hours. That's a goddamn work shift. His brother laid out for everybody to see, brains scattered. You understand? That's what we was dealing with the Maccabees, of course, right? Same thing. They put dead babies around our sister necks and had them walk around for weeks. And we love these people, man. We love them. Let's get some more on the scriptures now.
Take it up. Verse 7. He said, woe is me. Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people?
That's brotherhood right there.
And of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hands of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hands of the strangers.
Right.
Verse 8. Her temples to become a man without glory. Verse 9. Her glorious vessels are carried away to captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. Verse 10. What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten?
Read that again.
Verse 10. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten in her spoils?
This is Psalms 121. That's what this is. Psalms 121. They are confederate against thee. No, that's Psalms 83, ain't it? Psalms 83. So lock it. Psalms 83. They are confederate. They are all confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites of Moab, the Hagarenes, Gabal. 121. So lock it. Psalms 121. My fault. You understand? Ammon, Gabal, Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joining with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Read that again. Read that part you just read again, Senor.
Verse 10. That the nation, what nation hath not had a part in her kingdom?
What nation has not had a part in destroying blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous? Right. Every nation plays a part, even to this day. Every nation that you can think of has a business in our communities. We don't have businesses in our communities. Right. But let me tell you something else. None of these nations live in our communities. Listen, none of these nations live in our communities, and the ones that do are the ones who were exiled by their own. I've got a couple Africans in my neighborhood, but that's because their own people don't mess with them. They did something to offend their people that they exiled. Maybe he came here and married a real black woman or something. I don't know. But I know one thing: traders, they own bloodline. They don't do that. Like prime example, if a Chinese woman comes over here and marries a black man, she is no longer accepted into her family. They don't do that. They don't love them anyway. They don't have unconditional love for them. You have to earn that love and that respect and that honor and that glory. And you do that by sticking to what? Their traditions. We need to have that same spirit. Keep going, Shia.
It's a lot to say.
Now go ahead, priest.
I was gonna say if I could, what the brother reading this Matthias, his son sounds so one west right now.
Damn right.
It sounds like every priest and prophet in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Because when I'm reading this, brother lay down his own mindset and his pride for investment, lay down how he personally felt, and he started to begin to have the spirit of the Lord. Out.
You're damn right. Is absolutely one West. Because that's what he did. That's what he did. He seen the nation crumbling before him, and he said, "Nah, I'm not going to go for that." He did it in the spirit, bro. You understand? Now these brothers, it was a different time then, so they was able to shed the blood. Let me tell you something. We shedding the blood spiritually right now. That's what we doing. We shedding the blood of our enemies spiritually right now. We raising up our sons and our daughters to be one West, to be Israel.
Right.
Let's get some more, Shania.
Come on. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?
Right.
Verse 11. All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she's become a bond slave.
And what's some of the ornaments that we have, man? Like prime example, the Florida leaf. I didn't even know that was Israel. The Florida leaf. That's what I said.
It sounds like you said Florida leaf.
No, Florida leaf. Man, I'm tired of y'all making fun of my country accent. Y'all don't do concussion one like
I
that.
said, you ain't got the country accent. That's the concussion one.
Y'all do concussion one like that. Nah. Yeah, the Florida leaf. And what else? The shield.
Menorah.
The menorah. They put you find a menorah, it got 12 candles on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell? Where did 12 candles come from? They just took all of our ornaments, man, and made it their own. You understand? They just took the shield and put extra points on there, made it put a sun in the middle of it. Go ahead, Senor.
I said, I don't know how or why, but it's like as soon as you said something about the menorah, it's like something popped up in my brain. It was like, boop, remember this? So I remember back in kindergarten, this was years ago. I don't know how I still remember this.
I don't know how either.
I remember teaching us about like holidays and stuff like that.
Right.
Or how Hanukkah was a holiday, and like they show us the menorah, whatever, and they used to have this little game called Dreidel. I don't know if anybody remembers this.
Nobody remembers that.
I've heard of it.
But no,
like I know it.
I don't know it, but I've heard of it.
Right.
there's something that I remember that they tried to teach us. Like it was a little game that they used to play. It was called Dreidel or whatever. I don't remember the symbols that were written on exactly, but I know it was. Wow, I'm not 100% sure, but I assume there was some relating to Hebrew. I know it wasn't exactly
Zuckerberg.
Mhm.
Ain't that his name?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark, you know what devil I meant. The rich one.
So
Right.
It's not too many devils with the last name Zuckerberg. You know, and they were locked up immediately for identity theft. And like, nah, you can't do that. Well, let me tell you something. Each one of these so-called Jewish men, Jewish kid need to be locked up for identity theft. You understand? Not here's how sad it is. None of these so-called Jewish people could even give you a tribe where they was from. You ever see the so-called Jewish man? They got on their hats with the fake braids. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They got on the fedora hats with the fake braids, looking like Amish. It's a hybrid between the so-called fake Jewish and Amish. Like you ask them what tribe they from, they stand there dumbfounded. There's a tribe? Like, you understand? And then there's these other devils running around now. They're a motorcycle gang, right? And they're claiming to be the tribe of Judah. It's hilarious. It's a bunch of devils that look like they used to be Hell's Angels and somehow they're the tribe of Judah. And we already know about all the so-called fake oppressors that claim to be Gadites. We go to the powwows every year, and it's just heartbreaking to see all these goddamn devils in there claiming to be Indian. Don't even know what tribe they from. What was that one devil's? Where did the tribe he say it was from? He didn't give us a tribe, did he?
I say it's all usually Cherokee.
Yeah.
They all usually say they're part Cherokee, 1/16th Cherokee, some nonsense like that.
Well, listen, I had a Cherokee Jeep too back in the day, but that don't make me a Gadite. You know what I'm saying? They buy a Cherokee Jeep and all of a sudden they're Indian. You get what I'm saying? These oppressors is the worst. They are the absolute worst, man. So, Lucky, let's get some more on the scripture, Chanel.
Come. Verse 12. Verse 12. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beautiful and our glory is laid what?
Laid waste.
Is laid waste. Have profaned it.
Have profaned it. What the scriptures say is, lest there be any man more profane than Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. You understand? These devils. Like, because when you think about the things that they do today, they do the exact same things today. They have not stopped. You know what I'm gonna start calling these oppressors? I'm gonna start calling them Terminators. That's who they remind me of. You know, when the Terminator movie came out, I was a huge Terminator fan back in the day. But the one thing that made me a Terminator fan was that he was just relentless. It didn't matter where you ran to, where you tried to hide, he was coming to kill you. He was coming to take whatever he had to take. That is the oppressor now. What they say, he cannot stop, will not stop, can't be pleaded with, bargained with. That is the oppressor. The oppressor is like the Terminator. He just wants to kill. He doesn't care. There's nobody more profane. Terminator didn't care. He'd be on the phone trying to make sure your family's safe. He would mimic your mama voice. Where are you at, honey? I'm so worried about you. You know what I'm talking about. That's just wicked profane right there. Yeah, anything to come kill you. He don't care. Went outside, killed the dog, man. Like straight up. I know it was kind of choppy. I was just talking about the Terminator movie. Talking about how profane the Terminator is. He would do whatever he had to do to come kill you. Like I said, there's the one scene in the movie where the dude called home. He was like, the Terminator was pretending to be his mama. Terminator was like, where you at, honey? I'm so worried about you. Where you at? We coming to get you. You know what I'm saying? Then kills the stepdad, put the knife through his throat, mimic what you look like. Hunch, that is Esau, man.
Right.
That is him all the way. He will profane any and everything. Terminator pulled right up at his house, killed everybody, destroyed everything, burnt everything down, and they do it in every Terminator movie. That's what I'm gonna start calling Esau, the Terminator. He just will not stop, can't be pleaded with, can't be bargained with. He's just here to kill. That's what he's here to do. He's here to kill, rob, and steal. That's what he does. Just a wicked beast. If you would, Bogdan, let's get some more. Somebody has something? No, sweat. Go ahead, Bogdan, if you would.
Verse 13. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?
To what end? This reminds me of that one scripture when it talks about how the oppressor is such a beast. Like I said, even a thief would leave something. They leave some grapes on the ground. They leave some bread in the cabinet. They leave some water in the sink. I mean, Jesus Christ. The oppressor, to what end? Keep going.
14. Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore. 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make their sacrifice. 16. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together.
Right.
17.
That's us. Whenever we see a big crowd, we gotta go. That's where we get the spirit of protesting from. We can look out our window and see some people protesting and want to go.
Right. Verse 17. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias, on this wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man.
What kind of man?
An honorable and great man.
He said, I know you're an honorable and great man. Keep going.
In this city.
In this city.
And strengthened with sons.
And you got a bunch of soldiers with you. Keep going.
And brethren.
Man, you got a family with you. You the man. Keep going. 18.
Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment.
Now if they see you do it, everybody's going to do it. You be first. We know you the honorable and great man. You got many sons. You got soldiers that's willing to ride with you. You got to be the first one, because if you do it, everybody else will fold. This is why I tell every soldier in this school one thing, man. When you come into this school, you no longer represent yourself.
That's right.
You don't represent you. There is people watching every move that you make and every step and breath that you take. They are watching. And if you fold, guess what they're going to do? They're going to fold. You got a young man, you got a young officer, you know what I'm saying? He's watching you, and you're supposed to be the highest ranking man, and he see you smoke a cigarette or you smoke a blunt. Guess what he's going to say in his mind? Well, it's okay for me to do it. Right. He did it. I came into his house. His whole house smelled like weed. You understand? I see him, man. Listen, he out here being a whoremonger. He out here being wicked. He out here doing this. If he can do it, I can do it. Believe it or not, man. Once you come into this school, you get raised up in this school, you are a great and honorable man of much influence. First. And if you fold and everybody sees you fold, everybody up under you, then what strength are you giving them? None. Now you gave them a reason to be a goddamn coward. You gave them the perfect excuse, man. I know it was choppy. I'll repeat what I said. Salaki. I was saying, once you come into the school, you become a man of great honorable and influence strengthened by brothers. You become like this brother we reading about, Mattathias. You become just like him. And if you fold, every man up under you now has an excuse to fold. Now has a reason to fold. Well, if he did it, I could do it. Ain't that what we used to say when we was kids? Your mama asked you, why you do that stupid, what's the name? Do that dumb stuff. Well, such do it. Right? Not no more, man. We grown men. We are warriors of the Most High. There is no more excuses. We don't fold for nothing. We choose death. You understand? If I got to choose between going against the Most High and death, I choose death. Kill away. You understand? They be mad at me. We're going to chop off your arm. Yeah. Now what? You understand? Understand this. You are a man with nothing to lose. Therefore, they can't take nothing from you. You don't hold nothing of value but these laws, statutes, and commandments. Don't let them take it. You understand? Let's get some more in the scriptures.
Like as all the heathen have done, yea,
Is all the who have done?
all the heathen have done.
That's why the scriptures tell you do not follow the way of the heathen.
Right.
Keep going.
Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem.
Some Christian pastors still in the hood. Keep going.
So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends.
Now you UPK niggas can celebrate Thanksgiving. Everybody else is. We make y'all special. Keep going.
And thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold,
We'll give you whatever you want once you turn against the Most High. Keep going.
and many rewards.
This is something that we know to be true in this school. The FBI has came to Commander Junior Hanna and all the other generals and high-ranking captains plenty of times offering them suitcases full of money to trade what they believe in.
Right.
To trade what they believe in for cash. They've offered the money to Commander Junior Hanna. They've offered it to General Muhammad. They'h offered it to Captain Tazoriak. They've offered it to the brothers, man. And guess why we're still here teaching class? Because they refused.
That's right.
Keep going.
Come. Verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice,
Keeping them on front in front of everybody. Keep going.
though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers,
Right.
and give consent to his commandments.
Everyone from the religion of their fathers. Yeah, they did that. They follow their fathers. Notice that key word. Their fathers. I mean, hey, that's your daddy. That ain't my daddy. My daddy ain't going for that. My father followed the Most High. Keep going.
Verse 20, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
That is, listen, man. That is who I want to be. I want to be that brother, man. I want to be that, man. Listen, like, even as a youngster, when people used to ask you, what do you fear the most? What do you fear the most? I had two answers. You understand? One of them was being eaten by a shark. I just don't think I can handle that. I don't know how it would happen because I'm never going to go in the middle of the ocean. But that was just like one of the worst ways for me. Going out like Samuel L. Jackson in Deep Blue Sea or something. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, I don't want to die by a shark, but more important than that, I don't want to die like a goddamn coward. You understand? I don't want to die a coward's death. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, we just gonna do the Lord's Prayer. Like, go ahead, priest. Right.
Growing up in the Christian culture, if it comes down to it, I would die for my belief system. But yet and still, they are willing to put pork to their mouth. When these brothers literally went like battle over the pork. Then you go over a couple more chapters. Brothers actually gave up their lives because they refused to eat pork.
Yeah, I think that's chapter 5, chapter 7. We just went over it yesterday. Kat brought it out. I was going to bring it out on another session, but I was just going to try to read up to it. But yeah, the brothers, it was 7 of them. They put 6 of them to death, left the youngest alive. They came back for him like, surely you gonna do it now. And the youngest brother said, nah, kill me. What are y'all waiting on? And they did him the worst. He was the youngest. And here's another thing that a lot of people don't realize about that story. Here's what stuck out to me about them 7 brothers that died for not eating pork. They was gonna let us live. They was gonna let them live. Live, not eating pork, but just for saying that they did. Just say that you did. My brothers refused to even say that. I'm not saying you're gonna have to kill me. And then the mother stood there and watched the whole thing happen and praised him. Praised him. So lucky it was buffering. But what I was saying was like them brothers rocked it out so hardcore, man. Like they would have let them brothers live if they would have just said they ate pork, not even eat it for real. Just say they did. They was gonna let them live, and them brothers said, "We're not gonna say we ate nothing. Nah, I can't even do that." They hit them with the can't do it. You understand? That's what made them brothers so hardcore. If we could, let's get to the end of the scripture and we're gonna shut it down.
It's like what the
Just pick up where you was just at.
come.
Take it from the top if you would.
Come. Back to verse 20. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
One more.
21. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances.
Man, listen, like I said, when I was younger, when they used to ask me, the one thing that I was afraid of, it was always dying a goddamn coward, man. I remember one time, man, you know how we be in the world and somebody say something slick to you and we just feel like we should just knock all the teeth out their mouth. I remember one time, man, a dude, I don't even know why I showed him mercy, because like in my mind, you know what I'm saying? Like I was so arrogant back then. I used to talk so much stuff. In my mind, I felt like nobody would me. It's probably like 3 people in the whole world, and none of them live in this city. You understand? Like that's how I used to feel. I still feel that way, to be honest. I still feel that way. Yeah, you can live outside the city if you want to. Fuck that, the worst. But like it was one time where this brother was talking slick, right? He was talking real jazzy, man. And I spared him. He was like, "Ooh, I don't care about nothing. Blah, 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 blah." Just talking strong, man. I felt so soft that I spared him. I went home and started nosing like a little baby. I'm like, why didn't I break his jaw? I should have broke his jaw. Like that's like I fought with that demon because I didn't let people say nothing stupid to me. I live by a simple rule. It's called the dark alley rule. Don't say nothing to me in front of nobody that you wouldn't say to me in a dark alley. You understand? If you wouldn't talk strong in a dark alley, don't talk strong in front of nobody, because wherever you play at is where I'm going to beat you up at. That was my spirit. That's how you knew I was destroyed. You understand? And I knew it was going to lead to my death. That's why I thank the Most High for this truth, because I used to hit everybody in the mouth. I didn't discriminate. You understand? I did not discriminate. I used to battle them demons. Man, why you beat up that little dude like that? Well, the little dude was talking crazy. You understand? Straight up. I know I look like the bully, but the little dude was trying to bully me. And I had to let him know I'm not going. You know, I stay at 6'4". You know, now I'm about 400 pounds. Back then, I was probably about 280. You understand? And everybody wanted to be the giant slayer. Everybody knew the story about David and Goliath. Well, in this one, David don't win, Blair, because I'm going to slaughter something. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, like, that's what I love about this story, because them brothers, they don't betray what they believe in, man. That's the same spirit that like the spirit I have now, man. I have the same spirit I have back then, but I have it for the Most High. You understand? Like, Like the last thing that I want to do on the face of this planet. This is just my fear, and it ain't good to have fear, but I cannot let this fear come to pass. I refuse to die a coward.
Right.
Nothing will ever. I'll just tell you this. I'm gonna make it simple. There's no way that I'm gonna be telling your family what happened to you. That's not for me to tell. You know why? Because somebody has to tell my family what happened to me when we all died together. I'm not leaving my brothers. There's nothing gonna happen to y'all, and I take off running like some kind of coward. You know what word I really wanted to use? You understand? But Bongas sitting right here, he'll make me pay for it in Hebrew Academy. But I can't leave my brothers like some type of coward, man. I cannot. If something happened, one of you died, I'm dying too. They're gonna be like, he just ran into the bullet. I don't get it. like straight up. I refuse to die a coward. And when you portray what you believe, you are a goddamn coward, man. You understand? Like this truth, I believe in this truth. I don't care what the scenario is. There's nothing that on the face of this planet that can make me betray what I believe in. I will never eat pork again. I will never smoke weed again. I will never be who I was in the world again. I will never do that again. I'm going out like them 7 brothers did. They got put to death for eating pork and told them brain death. What's taking so long? Why ain't you killed me yet? You understand? I get snatched. I'll become a POW, and like in the sense of really being tied up, and they're just say such and such so and so, and we'll let you live. You already know what I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna have the most foul-mouthed, disrespectful language on the face of this planet. The stuff that I'm gonna tell them I can't say in class because they're gonna block our channel. But you can imagine. You can imagine. It's gonna be the same way I used to talk to people in the world to provoke a fight. It's just certain things you don't tell grown men. Because you know what I'm saying? Because we let pride get in the way, and I'm gonna let them know I'm more prideful than you can ever imagine. I know I should probably be wise, but I've never been that. Nobody's ever accused me of that. I'm arrogant. I'm stupid, and I'm even more retarded now since I served the Most High. I feel untouchable. Long as I serve the Most High, there's nothing you can do. They're going to torture me and I won't feel a thing because the Most High going to take the pain away. You understand? That's how I feel. That's what I believe, man. And that's what these brothers in the Maccabees felt and believed in, man. And we got to have that spirit. Like I said yesterday in class, every day, all day, you need to have the Maccabee spirit on you. Every day is a day of warfare, man. Have that spirit of warfare on you wherever you go. I'll be at the grocery store in the spirit of warfare. I got a clip so lucky. We about to shut it down right now. You know, I get the bad one on. If I could, I keep the spirit of warfare right now, man. I ride around my city like Mad Max. Ain't no telling how many guns I got in my car. You understand? I ride around my city like Mad Max. Any moment might be the apocalypse. And I'm taking devils with me. Play crazy if you want to. That's the spirit of warfare. I'm not telling you to go out and provoke. I'm not telling you to go out and pick. I'm telling you to stay prepared and be ready to sacrifice everything for the Most High. Ain't nobody touching one of my brothers. You touch one, I'm taking 10. That's just how it has to be, man. The spirit of the Maccabees, all day, every day. That's it, man. That's all I got to say. Anybody got anything else before we shut it down?
Man, Slack, if I could.
Go ahead, preach.
This why, you know what I'm saying, it's so important for our brothers and sisters to learn to serve the Lord. And I'm like you, sir, like I cannot die a coward.
Right.
And that's the worst death that any so-called Black or Hispanic or indigenous could have.
Right.
Dying a coward's death. I would rather die manfully like those brothers.
Damn right.
I'd rather stand up for the laws of the Most High. So like,
Damn right. Cut that up, man. Damn right. I totally agree. We gonna die on one West death. That's how we going out. We going out one West. Every brother, sister, and child. You understand? Because it ain't no more traitors. There's been enough of us that died traitors' death, cowards' death. Them days is over. No more, man. We gonna make a new trend where we die like soldiers from here on out, man.
damn right.
That's all I had to say, man. Bangad, I'm gonna turn the class over to you. Let's clap it up for Priest and Prophet, man. By the Rob Bangad, man. Now, brothers can put your stuff on mute while you do the announcements and the prayers. Appreciate y'all, mighty man. The water. I'm about to run to the restroom.
No.
You do whatever prayer you need to do.
No. ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, starting out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister limits for 6 months, they are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10, means tenth in the Hebrew, Ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to treasury department or teacher. Priest fund. It's a free will offering for priests. It's not mandatory, and it's whatsoever amount you would like. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and a war scarf. With that said, I madium, which means to Wapanya haki dum, which means to turn and face east. The Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Daba'ah, Ratazayaka, Hayah, Kawor, Hayah, Bashemayim, Nathan, Lenawa, Lakam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalakanawa, Kawabawatanawa, Kasolakanawa, Kawabawatayanawa, Wala'ah, Tabayayanawa, Bonasaya one, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'alu, what the power, Lawalamyam, Aman. The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hallowed in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Prayer for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, wa Yahweh Shai, Wam Yaka'ala, wa Ahayim, Matazab Yah, Alawap Yahana, Ha Alawapyum, Hazaranyum, Ha Quatzazayanyum, Ha Kayayayum, Waha Quathian, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Tuaraman. The blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahana, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. Sar, which means to turn. Sisters, Yeshabiat, which means to be seated. And give a salute to the brothers, men of Israel. Amadium Shabbat, Amadium Barak,
Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Barakathum.
Sar, turn to sisters. Gonna give a salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Imadium Shabbat, Imadium Barak,
Yahweh Shema Elohim Bashem Yahushua.
is a mataf. Class dismissed.
That's right.